Hey guys, it's your boy Lax, and today we are back with some more World Cup of Pokemon Qualifiers coverage. You know I love that shit. I love covering the Shice teams and techs that we see, and I gotta say, this one absolutely delivers electric terrain, something you never see in tournaments, and we're gonna find out, is it underrated or is there good reason we don't see it in tournaments? But that being said, at the end of the video, we will be going over the standings of the current qualifying stage, see which teams are looking really strong and primed to make it, seeing which teams need to lock in a bit, maybe even trying to figure out what ways they could do that. Another announcement I have is coming soon, maybe this week or the next, I will be going over a bunch of iconic SVOU games, the best ones there are, and I might invite 3D and Blunder if they're around for that, and we'll just be reacting and checking out a bunch of really sick games. And I think a lot of viewers won't actually be aware of a decent amount of the games because you have to be really in touch with the tournament scene to watch every single game from so many different tournaments. So that should be really exciting. Looking forward to that, so make sure to stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get started on this video. And also, we're bumping to Driftvale City music. That shit slaps. Probably like the best soundtrack I ever listened to. Alright, starting out, we have Hugme 123, Team South Korea, Cosmo Stars, Team Venezuela. Hugme is using Langloy's SPL team with sticky web terrain, nasty plot pitch run, all that jazz. Cosmo Stars bringing a team we've never seen before. Electric terrain, because it's a really interesting archetype because it's got Pincurchin, which is one of the worst Pokemon of all time. Like stat-wise, move pool-wise, it's just not a good guy. But it has the electric surge ability, which only Tapu Koko has otherwise, and it's surrounded by a bunch of thugs. You got Iron Valiant, Iron Leaves, Iron Hands, who all get insane boosts from being an electric terrain. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, it knocks out a Raquinid, which means that it has a kill in this meta over like 400 other Pokemon that have never been used in OU, which, you know, props for that. Reveals double hazard control, which is very nice for the electric terrain team because Iron Treads, defensive Iron Treads never spin it versus this. I'm gonna be real. But here we reveal Psyblade, and Psyblade does 78% to Petron. And something I noticed from watching this replay is that a play I would have really liked to see is on this turn where you pivot from Corv to Iron Treads, presumably to take a Shadow Ball and then Volt Switch out or something. I would have really liked to see a Pincurchin sack here, because if you sack Pincurchin, you activate Electric Terrain, which activates Psyblade for Iron Leaves. Psyblade gets a 1.5 power boost, if you didn't know, from Electric Terrain. So this Psyblade that does 78% right now, that's one-shotting Petrant cleanly, which most physical attacks can never do. I think this is like a choice band or something, but that would have been a really interesting play to see Pincurchin come out and sack, because you don't really need it later on. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like Webs is gone, you don't really need your terrain, it's fine. I would have liked to see that because then you knock this out and really start applying some pressure, but it's fine. Petch knocks it out. Iron Valiant comes in, Moonblast finishes it off, reveals Life Orb, which is pretty typical on terrain sets. It allows you to go mixed. For some reason, Moltres Galar is able to force out Iron Valiant. And then we have this case of a crit Ice Punch freeze onto Tusk. And it's really funny, actually. I would actually argue that this is a moment of hacks that doesn't benefit the luckier player at all. Because if you see how this goes, like, yeah, this sucks. Getting crit Ice Punch, that could be really tilting. But the way Hugme plays this is like, you know what? I'm going to thaw anyways. Like, imagine they thaw and they clicked Headlong Rush, or they were never frozen at all. Nothing happened. It's just Corv versus Great Tusk. And then basically just get rid of the freeze ever happening in your mind and just imagine this close combat critting an Oko and Corv when Great Tusk usually loses to it. So you could actually argue that the freeze was worse for Cosmo Stars than it was for Hugme. Anyways, Valiant comes in, knocks that out. And here's another interesting play that I would have probably made a change to. Or not like in game, I can't say I would have made this play because, you know, high stake situation, it's not easy to make the best play possible. But let's see how the game unwinds first. Molt gets blown back by terrain boosted Thunder Punch. Moonblast into AV Hands. AV Hands eats that up, but unfortunately can't get the Oko back, which means that no matter what, this Kingambit is probably cooking anyways. King Gambit comes in, reveals Terrifier. Reels is faster anyway, so that didn't even matter. And then Iron Valiant comes in and will never be able to OHKO a King Gambit with pretty heavy bulk investment. So here, I wonder if you guys noticed this play that could have been made to change the outcome of the game. Here's the turn I'm thinking of. So pink comes in, gets flinched. That's kind of unlucky. But instead of staying in at all here, I would have actually hard switched to the Iron Hands, which reveals to be Assault Vest. Because if you switch to Iron Hands on this turn, and then this plays out exactly like it does, you chew this Hurricane, does 21%, one-shot the Galarian Moltres, then what happens? So you have a Petrunch at 1 HP here that you can sack to Iron Valiant, that special attack booster. And if you sack it instead of tearing your Iron Hands, that means your Valiant comes in with the speed booster, which is standard for Electric Terrain, and you're able to outspeed this special attack boosting Valiant. So your Valiant revenges this, and you still have a max HP Iron Hands to deal with any kind of Terra coming out from King Gambit. This is not even a guaranteed win, I'll be honest, because this Valiant could like Terra Steel or something, but I feel like it's just so unlikely that it is that. Like if you go Valiant after sacking pink, you revenge their Valiant, they Terra their King Gambit, your Iron Hands is always winning this outcome. So that's a play that is really hard to see in the moment, but in hindsight, I'm able to reflect on it and be like, huh, that would have actually been a really, really well played move if they went for that. But yeah, that was a crazy game, and I want to reveal to you guys that Electric Terrain is actually 0% win rate in official tournaments. Mimikyu Stardust has brought up before, and I'll just leave this screenshot. Yeah, it's looking tough. I mean, this was, I guess you could argue, a close game, but I don't know. I just don't think Electric Terrain can win in an official setting solely because Pincurchin is just not a real Pokemon. Like, Grassy Terrain at least has Rillaboom, which has a momentum move that can't be blocked, but you can switch a Tinglu into a Pincurchin any time of the day. A Gliscor can switch in. Great Tusk would actually take a lot from Scald, so that's not really a switch in, but just generally speaking, it's a really tough archetype to make work, which sucks because there's such strong guys on the team. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll move on to the next. Alright, next up we have a game from Jasmine of Team Spain versus ADPG Alt of Team Venezuela. This is a game that, you know, I wouldn't really call super shiced in terms of teams used, because they're both very standard teams that have been used multiple times in tournaments before. But this is just a game that I really appreciate the plays that the winner made in order to set up like such a clean end game that you're about to see. So yeah, you see Tinglu switch into Pull, take the Wisp, and then also be gold in one, because Tinglu is one of the greatest Pokemon ever created, putting that gold at 1 HP. Darkrai comes in to revenge it. Tusk comes in, booster speed, so threatening a close combat probably, which does come out into gold. Reveals Bulk Up and then takes that Dazzling Gleam pretty well. Reveals Knockoff, which is really interesting. And you'll see that Knockoff completely bounce off. Max Defense Gold is really not messing around. But Darkrai comes into Revenge Gold, and then they just trade out their HP here. Not a lot of people run Focus Blast Darkrai currently. A lot of people like Utility Wisp on it, so they just trade Ice Beams for each other. Ogerpon comes in. Takes the burn. Knockoff is a pretty greedy click. I think predicting Dragable to come in. But at this range, like, Darkrai is really low, so I don't think ADPG was ever going to respect that. But here's how the endgame comes out, and you'll see that it's really close. So Dasmer is recovering up to full. He wants to be at max HP to eat as many hits from Iron Valiant and Kyurem as possible, and to try to win the game out on its own. As you can see, he's burned through 3 recovers here to get a Nasty Plot off. And now he's burning through another one in order to knock out this Dragapult and stay full. This Kyurem comes in and reveals that it's a dice set, which looks pretty standard for the team, and it gets 5 hits off. I don't think the number of hits actually matters, 4 versus 5, but Iron Valiant is able to come in now and reveal that it's a special booster set, or not special booster, but speed booster with special attacks, and then reveals Terra Ghost. And if you look at the state of the rest of Dasmer's team, the game is just over. Ogerpon taking that knockoff is really coming back to bite it now, because if it just knocked out the Darkrai on this turn instead of clicking knockoff and taking an extra Dark Pulse, or even if you like switch out instead of like you just U-turn there instead of taking all the HP, then I think the game goes in Jasmine's favor. But because of how this unfolds, Valiant is able to just revenge everything, and to Terra Ghost means that you can't revenge it with E-Speed. So EQ into E-Speed, which would have been a roll anyways, isn't able to do anything. And then Ogerpon, not healthy enough, gets taken out. Great Tusk gets knocked out because it's like max attack. So yeah, this was a really crazy endgame to me because it looks really bleak from the side of ADPG. Like you look at this Goldango versus their team and it's like, wow, Gold is really about to just claim every single remaining kill. But then Iron Valiant comes in, reveals Ghost Booster, and then it's just like, it's just a clean endgame and something I really appreciated. Like, I feel like this wasn't a great matchup for them because of the Goldango that I mentioned, but they're able to spin it in a way, use their Curium, use their Hex damage in order to set up a Valiant sweep perfectly. Now this is a Shice team from King Evan's position. So OJR is representing Team Netherlands and King Evan is representing Team South Korea. And what's really interesting about this game is you see low kicks on Sun, which I thought is really cool because low kicks is a guy you typically see on actually more balance or like more fat teams rather than hyper offense. So we're going to see how that goes. But looking in this game, this Hatterene is a super big threat, especially because it dodges the poison. Like Psyshock is chunking everything. Gliscor gets crit, takes so much damage here. And then you can just Draining Kiss back up, but choose not to just Psyshock, guarantees the kill. That's probably fine. It does put you in Headlong Rush range, unfortunately, so Draining Kiss might have actually saved you from that. Now that's interesting there, because did you guys see what I just saw? Great Tusk is in right now. Raging Bolt is in, and Great Tusk switches out instantly. So I don't know if OGR is just somehow aware of this team and knows that it's like a Scarf Raging Bolt instead of like a Terra Raging Bolt to throw it in and out. But it's a really interesting scout by them, which does end up paying out because like that Draco damage doesn't look like specs at all. Could be leftovers, but you know, I guess it is Scarf based on how that interaction went. Sorry, I had to go back in the replay to make sure that it wasn't ever revealed that Raging Bolt is somehow faster than anything, because if it was like a Kyurem lead into Raging Bolt, they both double out, but Raging Bolt doubles first. That's a pretty telltale sign that it's Scarf, like it's confirmed, but nothing like that happened. So we'll just progress with the game. Chili reception is so good into a team like Sun because you're able to just change the weather for free. Bringing Curium here does let it get burned and means that you can't sub up on Ninetales either because you get threatened out by Encore. So low kicks finally does come in, protect to scout, reveals Leech Life. So this is a pretty free double for OGR into Moltres, so King Evan takes advantage of that, resets the Sun, really great play. Brings in special attack booster Wake. Let's see, OGR decides to switch and sack Curium and then Terra Water. I think what I would have liked to see from OGR's side is actually just Terra Water instantly. But I kind of understand that because you want to respect this Raging Bolt that can just kind of click Thunder move, except it has to predict and every time Great Tusk is in. So it's a tricky turn, but the way OGR played it, I think maybe you scout Draco there. Maybe Draco was enough to kill it, so you just sack Curium, get the Regenerator back. It's all good. But yeah, that does a lot of damage. 51%. Gets the Thunder Wave off, which is nice for the long term, but it does mean you have to sack something else right here, which does end up being Zamazenta. And then you have to bring Slowking back in and then Chili. So you're not even regenerating a lot of HP. So good play by King Evan, get the Healing Wish off. I wonder what they revive. Oh, they just bring Walking Wake back because the double to Great Tusk allows you to pick your sack for free. So OGR switches to Moltres here. Unfortunately does get crit. This is a really tough turn for them because Moltres dying means that this game is 100% over at this point. But I want to do an analysis to see if that crit mattered and if OGR could have won if it didn't get crit. So the game ends up playing out. Locust comes in, does a lot of damage. Raging Bolt comes in, clicks Draco, reveals that it's Scarf. It does outspeed Great Tusk. So that was a really cool read from OGR to kind of anticipate that. And also like a pretty good bluff by King Evan. Like honestly, it would have worked versus a lot of players switching Raging Bolt in to revenge Great Tusk. Like most people will probably just assume, oh, this guy's gonna Terra bug his Raging Bolt, Terra fly his Raging Bolt, or something like that. But let's go back a little into this game. So if this Moltres comes in on the Draco, takes about, I want to say like 45%, because they're all max defense, no Spadef invest. You would probably U-turn as Moltres on the switch into Raging Bolt or something, which is still tricky for you, because if you roost on Raging Bolt, you have to predict the Draco or the Thunder, the electric move correctly. But if you U-turn on Raging Bolt, the same thing kind of applies. Like you could go Great Tusk, double to Slowking on the Draco, but Slowking's still taking a decent amount to chill you out. So I think like the crit does suck because it does open the possibility of outplaying a game, but at this point the Sun is so far ahead that it's going to be really tough to claw back. But you know, obviously unfortunate, and it could have played out differently, but this was just a really great matchup for special attack boosting Terra Water Wake. It just went completely ham. Low kicks didn't do a lot, but actually did a great job forcing the Kyurem out, which a lot of guys on Sun actually can't really do, which is pretty funny. Like, not a lot of guys on Sun can switch into a Kyurem in the first place and also force it out, so that's interesting. God, I'm telling you guys, the webs pandemic is upon us currently. The Rabambis, the Raquinids, they're everywhere. Sun is also used a lot in qualifiers. My guess is that webs and Sun are both playstyles that are considered like generally quite easy to use. So a lot of people that aren't too confident in like building on their own will default to something like this, which is understandable. It's a strong team. It's a bit fishy, but it's a strong team. But the reason I want to showcase this game in particular is because of a tech that you'll see. So Namorous leads to force out the Ninetales with the Specs Earth Power. Gives a free eject button, stays in, not respecting Sludge Bomb, just getting the chip on Venusaur, which I think is a really good play. You don't really need a Namorous for anything else here. Rabambi comes in, clicks Skill Swap. Now, this is a tech that's used a lot on ladder by like a very specific player. I think it's BBL Drizzy with 2Z or 3Zs uses this a lot. How Skill Swap works is you trade the Magic Bounce out, but you forego having Stun Spore or a Psychic move. So it's a move that is useless in like so many matchups. Like if you don't have a Hatterene, then Skill Swap is a waste of a slot. But the way that people use it is that Rabambi just needs Sticky Web pretty much. That's all players rely on. That's all you really need to set the rest of their team. So you don't really care about that. Like if they lead Iron Moth, you kind of take in an L if it's sub and you don't have Psychic Noise or something like that. But that is what it is. That's kind of just a matchup you forgo in order to fish for a Hatterene matchup. So yeah, the skill walk goes off, which means webs go up, and then Terra Ghost. Oh boy, Terra Ghost is just tough there. It's just so tough there. There's just no hope at this point. Like webs are up, what can you even do? Like maybe Cerulege can pull it off, but in order to even kill this Rabambi alone, you need to go Terra Water Wake, which is just so difficult. Shouts Naruto, Kurama. But yeah, at this point, the game is just over. Thunderclap is able to take out Venusaur from this range, and there's just nothing they can do. Like, the rest of the team is so low. Cerulege is outsped by King Gambit, in fact, I'm pretty sure, if it's max speed. Outsped by Iron Moth. So Thunderbolt puts into range of 1 HP, which anything on Quinn's team can revenge. So this was a very quick one. I just wanted to highlight this because I talked about Sticky Webs recently, of how cheap it is. And skill swap into Hatterene is just like chef's kiss matchup for Rabambi like that. So that was a pretty crazy one. Last game I want to highlight is actually in Yuyu. So Yuyu farmer Eduardo, aka Kenenix, is widely regarded as a very strong player, recently going 5-0 in Smogon Champions League in the UU tier, which is what he's playing right now. But you'll see an uncharacteristic play that I think is going to be a good learning moment for a lot of people. So we'll see how this game plays out. Torns is trading blows, U-turn, bring Meow in, threaded the kill, get a free U-turn to regen your Torn back up, yada yada yada. Torn comes in again. It's just regenning all the way up. T-Tar comes in now. Clicks rocks on the Cobalion. Rotom. Like this is fairly standard. Nothing crazy so far. So I might speed this up a bit more. Alright, so going through it. Torn Bleakwind puts their Torn in range. Misses though. Forced to swap off. Volt Switch. Tar back in. Earthquake on Cobalion. Get that chip. Specs Hydrapple. Looks like that Draco did a lot of damage. Rillaboom. Pretty big threat still. Because Hydrapple's kind of low. But gets the spin off. Which is nice for the rest of the team. Especially Torn. Hydrapple about to claim another kill or not. Double to get the regen on Torn back up, respecting the Rillaboom in the future. Now just trading blows, Dirge Force to Terra, Pain Split, Volt Switch onto Excadrill on the Slack Off. Great play because now you can Iron Head knock this out. So it looks really good for Kenenix. Get a free U-turn to bring Hawlucha in. Force the Terra on Hydrapple, lucky to dodge Draco. Tar comes in on Keld, takes that surf. It's going to pass now. Try to break the sub, which is a nice play to reveal. So now you have a sub up, which is really big. Rotom comes in, easily eats that Secret Sword, only just 34%. Now Meowscarada is in. And this is kind of what I wanted to highlight because this is really tricky. And this is actually a mistake I've made before. So this video isn't meant to shit on Kenenix at all. But it's just something that you should really keep in mind. So he clicks Flower Trick. Protean turns him into a pure grass type. But Kenenix, not being the avid like new gen player, he doesn't play a lot besides Yuyu. And Meowscarada wasn't in Yuyu when he was really tryharding it. He respects the vacuum wave from Keldeo here, which forces him to switch out in his mind. He's like, I'm still a dark type, so I don't want to take this vacuum wave from sub Keldeo, which is a little wild. But it forces him to swap out into Hydrapple, which I think just dies to Surf here if it Terra Waters. Oh, it doesn't even have to Terra. It can't even Terra for that matter. But now this comes in, Rillaboom comes in now, and Grassy Glide crits, which is so unlucky. Like so ridiculously unlucky. But if you kept Hydrapple ever, then it's not a problem at all. And that's like, this is like such a tough moment because you really should have had the 100% win. And then you still have a chance to win, like a pretty damn good chance. If you don't get crit, you always live Grassy Glide that's nerfed. But then it happens anyway. So it's like a bunch of disasters coming together. And it's just like a really tough moment to have. And it's also a really good reminder that Meowscarada, if you ever face this Pokemon, it's tricky. Because you need to keep in mind, if it doesn't ever Protean change, it's going to be Overgrow. And that's a mistake I made versus Zav in a money tournament that cost me like $200. So that's why I wanted to highlight that, because moves like Protean, or abilities like Protean, are super tricky. And who knows what can happen in there. Alright, those are all the games I have for you today. Some pretty interesting ones, and I hope there's a lot more to come. We're going to do a standings update real quick. So if you can see, Portugal and Netherlands, two teams that I ranked as comprising mostly of new players, are really surprising everybody. 9-3 basically means out of the 20 games total you play, and they have 12 games played right now, so 8 remaining, 2 out of 8 of those games they can win to move on to the next stage. If they win about 3 or 4 more, I think that guarantees they move to the main stage without having to play again. So 2 more wins would bring them to 11, which is guaranteed tiebreak, I believe. And any more than that is guaranteed onto the next stage. Netherlands, another team no one expected to really pop off like this. Also having a phenomenal record so far, 7 out of 9 wins in games played so far. So that gives the ratio of how many games they need to win to be, you know, pretty damn good, pretty close to Portugal as well. Argentina, 6-1, a team that I rated pretty highly because they have ACR 1 and some other notable names that I recognized. Asia, doing pretty well too. I know I showcased 2 of their losses last week from JJ and Kaneki-san, but they've really bounced back since then. Devin leading them with a 2-0 record. Very nice. Mexico also doing well. South Korea also defying a lot of expectations. Last year they did quite poorly, ending in the bottom half. I think like the bottom 4 or so of teams. So cool to see them start to pull it together, start to really show off what they can do. Austria is a team that is struggling a bit more than I expected. This is a team that has done pretty well in qualifiers in the past. They always make it to the next stage. So they're going to really need to step up here because they're still, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. They're only -1, but it's still a tough position to be in. Team Guatemala, who I've been informed is a team of a bunch of Facebook friends. I love that energy. Keep that shit up. 2-3, not bad at all. Keep it up. Like, that's not a lot of games played. Still a lot of time to turn it around. See how it goes. Latin America, a team I rated very highly, is 3-5 right now. With Gacha losing, who's one of their star players, but Stormzone winning to kind of pull it back. And One Last Kiss, a player that was expected to do quite well in these qualifiers, also struggling a bit. So not the greatest start from them, but you know, they have 12 more games to go. They have another game from Gacha, another game from Stormzone. That basically ties them up to the end with the victory. So if the rest of the players are able to handle their weight, it should end up going pretty smoothly. UK in an exact same similar spot. They have 2 games from ZabGB to be played still, so that could be a major difference maker. Chiharu, another player I rate quite highly, also 0 games. So those 2 are really going to need to step up and really help their team go over the finish line. Vietnam, not a great start, but you know, not many games played. Still tons of time to bounce back. We'll see how that goes. I think they had some pretty impressive games from their 2 victories so far, so that'll be an interesting team to keep an eye on. Bangladesh has only played 2 games, which is crazy. That means like all their games are going to be on Sunday. They're going to have like 18 games on Saturday and Sunday, which is wild. Peru, struggling quite a bit as well, 2-5 record. But, you know, like I said, for Vietnam, not that many games played. It's easy to, I think, spiral and let things get out of hand in like a bad way and keep losing and losing. But if they have some players that really step up to the plate, really show off themselves and lead the team back around, that could be really big for them. Spain 1-4, very, very surprising. This is the team that everyone expects is an easy qualification. And they are actually like, what, 6? They're like 6 losses from being eliminated. 6 out of 15 remaining games from being eliminated. So they really have to come in big. But they still have Garay to play. Oh, he actually lost one. They still have Trosco to play. They still have Solwyn to play. They really got to step up, though. They really, really got to start showing them off. Casti, who I learned is a VGC player, had a very nice showing in their first game. Just played a very clean, straightforward game. And the last team, we have Venezuela, who are on the brink of elimination. They actually need to win 7 games in a row in order to qualify. And that's a really, really tough task at hand. But never give up until it's over, right? So just keep pushing. Work together as a team. Make some really shice builds like Cosmo Star used. Even if it didn't end up working out, I thought it was a really cool team. But yeah, that's kind of the recap. Looking really good for these 4 teams or 5 teams over here. They're almost guaranteed. Like if they go 1 for 1 in all the remaining games, that's a qualification. South Korea could be a dark horse, pull through. Will Spain, UK, and Latin America reclaim their spots as like the expected people to qualify? We'll see soon. But that's all I have for today. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you for the next video. Peace.